I'm Talia Brooks, and the night this really began, I was on all fours with a 5-year-old on my back, cape sliding off his shoulder, laughter ricocheting off a marble foyer, when his father stormed in like a cold, front-perfect tie, sharper voice. "What the hell are you doing?" The laugh died mid-air. I stood up slow, wiped my hands, said, "He asked to play. I've got him. He's safe." And Ethan Cole looked at me like I'd trespassed on a country I wasn't born in. "Your staff, not family. Do your job." Then he carried Leo away, and the house went quiet, in that expensive way that makes you feel poor, even if there's money in your pocket. That house sat over the ocean in Harbor Heights, windows full of water and sky rooms so large they swallowed sound. The kind of place where grief can hide in every corner and still feel crowded, you know what I mean? And after Naomi died, Leo slept with his red cape under his pillow and woke up calling for a voice that wasn't coming back, while Ethan moved through the halls like a man sprinting from his own shadow, meetings, phones, silence, repeat, and me. I'd lost a child too, a little girl named Aria who wore rubber boots in July because puddles were funnier than rules. So when Leo screamed one night, thrashing in sweat and sheets, Ethan froze at the door, and I slid in, took that small hand, lowered my voice. "I'm here, buddy. You're safe. You're not alone." And he sobbed until the storm ran out of rain, then slept like a truce had been signed. I could have gone back to folding towels, could have swallowed my opinion, like it was a seed that might grow teeth. But I wrote a letter instead. Plain ink on hotel stationery by the espresso machine, where powerful men decide how their day will taste, I said. "You don't know me beyond the chores, but grief doesn't care how strong we are. Connection does. I lost my child. I know that dark hallway. Please don't push the boy away from the last hands that are reaching." I left it there and tried to sleep. Failed. Cried into a towel so the neighbors wouldn't hear. The next evening, I passed Ethan's study and saw something small and enormous. Him in a kid-sized chair, knees up to his ribs, Leo on the floor, pointing at planets and narrating space like a tiny NASA director. And Ethan, for once, wasn't scrolling, wasn't correcting, just listening. And that was the first stitch in a torn seam. 2 days later, the sun finally showed up. We dragged towels outside and Leo sprinted for the infinity fountain, because that's what 5-year-olds do when there's water and a horizon daring them. He hit a slick patch, the world tilted, and all I remember is grabbing cape and shirt and hauling him back. Before blue became a bad story, we collapsed on the grass. Short of breath, Ethan bolted out. "What happened?" And Leo, God bless him, beamed. "Miss T saved me," said it like a headline. That night, Ethan came to the laundry room where I was doing battle with beach towels, and he didn't bark, he didn't posture, he just said, "I read your letter. I've been a fool. You shouldn't be scrubbing floors. You're Leo's nanny now." And I blinked like I'd misheard. "Are you sure?" And he nodded, a muscle in his jaw unclenching for the first time in months. Life didn't flip a switch, but it tilted toward warm. We made pancake Thursdays because grief needs routine. Leo taped a drawing on the fridge with 3 stick people and a son me him with a cape, a tall guy who looked suspiciously like a father. Trying again, we did backyard rocket launches with paper cones and too much tape. I taught Leo to blow nightmares out, like candles, and sometimes Ethan would pause in a doorway, like he was relearning the math of being present. Then the doorbell rang like a verdict. Sloane Harrington, Naomi's sister, walked in on perfume and judgment, cream, coat knife, cheekbones, and said, "Where's my nephew?" Then looked at me like I'd smudged her mirror. "And you are the nanny," I said, and she smiled without warmth. "The maid who got promoted above her station. Yeah, that happened." Leo tucked himself behind me like a small boat behind a rock, Ethan said. "Enough, Sloane." And she spun toward him, voice dipped in ice. "If you won't protect my sister's memory, I will," and promised court like it was a wedding she'd been planning. Papers came headlines, followed the kind of stories that try to make strangers feel like jurors, and their lawyers pulled my life apart with tweezers, deposition day. I sat under lights that made honesty sweat and answered questions designed to bruise. No formal childcare degree, correct, correct. Your daughter died, correct, yes. Did poverty kill her? No. I said steady. Aria had a heart defect. I worked 3 jobs. Love can't always fix a body, but neglect didn't bury my child. Sloane watched with her sympathetic tilt, a performance you could hang curtains from. That night I wrote 2 lines and left them on Ethan's desk. Mr. Cole, if me leaving makes this easier on your son, I'll go then. I packed a small bag because leaving fast hurts less than leaving. Slow Ethan found the note at dawn and came to my door without knocking. Saw the suitcase and went still. You were going to disappear. Quietly, for him, I said, and he stepped closer, voice low enough to feel. Don't turn this into a noble exit. He begged you to stay if they tried to take him. If you run now, you prove every lie. Be terrified, fine, but be here. He needs you, and so do I, sometimes. The truth is a key that fits a lock you didn't know you were wearing. I sat down, stared at the bag, said, okay, and meant it. The twist you probably didn't see coming. He called a press conference in our own parlor, took back the narrative like a man tired of reading about himself in the third person. Cameras, microphones, 100 eyes, Ethan said. There's been speculation about the woman behind me. She's the reason my son laughs. She saved him when he slipped. She isn't replacing Naomi. No one could. She's keeping us from drowning. Questions flew, and he ended it with Leo stays with me. And then we launched the Afterlight Fund out of that same room. A small thing with a big heart, checks for counseling and casseroles for the grief-struck. Some people sneered. Some people gave $20 with a note that said, we see you both, things can be true. Court was a colder theater. The judge, a woman with eyes that had seen every version of family and still believed in the best interest of a child. Sloane's attorney said, I blurred boundaries and dishonored Naomi. Dana Ruiz, our lawyer, said, stability doesn't wear a diploma. It looks like pancakes and sleep through the night. Then it was my turn, and my hands didn't shake because I'd already shaken them out of trembling. Did you make yourself a mother in that house? No. I stayed when it was hard. Do you love Leo? Yes. Are you sleeping with Mr. Cole? No, and when they asked about Aria, I told the truth with both hands on the rail. She loved puddles and trouble. She died because small, brave hearts sometimes get tired. Loving her didn't make me unfit. It made me useful in the dark. Sloane went up next in funeral, black holding Naomi's framed face like a shield, a maid pretending at motherhood, a man too broken to tell help from home, and Donna asked the only questions that mattered. Were you named guardian in your sister's will? Did she document disagreement with her husband's choices, not in writing? So this is your grief and your opinion, not her stated wish, and the room exhaled. Then the judge did something I didn't expect. She asked if Leo wanted to speak. He walked up with his cape folded like a flag, chin-up voice small but clear. My daddy's sad sometimes, but he loves me. Miss T reads to me and makes pancakes on Thursdays. She doesn't let me fall. I want to stay with my daddy. I want Miss T to stay too, and the gallery held its breath like a single lung. A week later, the ruling landed with the weight it deserved. Custody stays with Ethan. Guardianship denied. Let out a sound I didn't recognize until I realized it was relief. Sloane stood too fast, said, we'd regret this, the judge said. She'd ruled outside microphones, waited for blood, and got no statements. Today is for my family. Back home, we made spaghetti on a Monday sauce on Leo's chin Bad onion cuts from a billionaire who was not above learning things, late laughter that didn't apologize to the walls. You think it ends there, bow-tied credits roll. Life doesn't do tidy. Sloan filed an appeal because spite loves paperwork. The papers still try to freeze us in a headline when they're hungry. The fund grew faster than I thought. Because pain recognizes its own and sends $20 and a casserole. And some nights I find Ethan by the fountain, hands in pockets, horizon in his eyes, saying, "You saved him," and I say, "We saved him," and he steps closer, like he might say more. Then Leo yells from the kitchen about movie night, and the moment tucks itself away for later. So that's my story, told the way it happened to me. Not clean, not saintly. I was the woman people called the help, in a tone that meant the limit, the one counted out before she counted in. But I stayed when the storm hit. I kept a kid from going under in a house with too many rooms and not enough voices. And if that makes some folks uncomfortable, pull up a chair. Tell me what you think. In the comments, was Sloan fighting for her sister or for control? Did I overstep? Or did I do what anyone would do when a child is drowning on dry land? Should courts weigh love as heavily as blood and titles? Or is that how people get hurt? You ever seen a family like this built out of presence and stubbornness? Drop your story, argue with me. Tell me where I'm wrong. And if you know someone carrying grief like it's their second spine, share this, because connection saves people. And yeah, I'll be down there with you answering, crying a little with a towel over my face so the neighbors don't hear.